Start the game already. I'm bursting for a piss in here. With the fourth and final installment in the Uncharted series, it finally understood you don't need to go 500,000 miles an hour to make an interesting story. Too bad they forgot the other ingredient in that, an interesting and well-paced story. I've banged on for a couple of weeks now about my self-professed hatred towards the cinematic game that is the Uncharted series. I'm not joking. I abhor Nathan Drake, and I despise the Uncharted series because it is a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. An abject, piss-poor attempt to make one of the greatest characters in the history of video games a bloke with so little personality. I've made references to his genocidal tendencies in the descriptions, and no one calls me out on that. Why? He is a genocidal fuckhead. In the chapter where he ends up in his house with his wife, that was the point when the tone went out the window from being an Uncharted game. Also, Elena, editors prefer it when you look over your own work and check for typos. It saves both of you time, as they don't have to ask stupid questions of you. Speaking of tone, finally putting the first level of Crash Bandicoot in the game says, we have no idea how to be an adult. A troublesome thing to admit given we're going for the tone that The Last of Us went with, a more mature and methodical idea to storytelling, all while retaining the lack of personality. The issue I have with that is simply the fact these aren't adults who sit and have a conversation with each other. They're characters that quip at one another. As I said last week, the gameplay refines itself to modern sensibilities with every release, and I can't fault that. Well, I can. It is a series of tired climbing frames on the set of Disney's Recess, puzzles where the answers are quite literally written on the prison wall, and walking about pretty locations before you have to bust a cap in some bitch's ass. You've done it before, and with the grey paste the AAA industry likes to feed you, you'll do it time and time again. I can't help but feel like I am constantly killing men in games because it's easier to do that than, say, write a scene where a married couple has dinner and talk like human beings. Let me ask you this. What did you expect from me? To suddenly turn around and say it's a fantastic game, something that revolutionizes the medium as a whole? No. I'm glad it's the end. I'm glad I could swing him from a cage in my sex dungeon, starving him to death. He is the worst human being in the history of video games, and I am including the serial abuser Mario. In spite of my established hatred of the character, the slow pace, and general hatred of the story and dialogue fed through Firefly and Buffy, most of the game seems to feel a lot better. Do you want to expand on that, dickhead? Not really. I want to put a brick through Nate's face, but I guess I should because it is the nature of a review to do so. When jumping around and generally being a bit of a twat to the alien archaeologists that pick apart our tired husk of a world, you don't feel as if Nate is either too heavy or too light. When I say it generally feels a lot better, I do mean that. And that's one of the most important parts to me for a game. It needs to feel right. There are small bits that are off, such as every time you have to follow a bloody character. Jesus Christ. Can we stop having lead characters that can either get to the objective and have to wait around, or force the player to figure out the exact fucking spot for Blind McGee here to figure out I'm right in front of them?
You ready, Tarzan?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.